Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frontline Focus. I'm glad you're here. I'm Chris Larson. So this week on our Building Better Habits campaign is called Being Brilliant at the Basics. And it's so perfect and it's so simple. We think about the basics. A lot of times we don't put enough emphasis on them or concern. So let's talk about that for a little bit. So during this week's training, you're going to get 4 different topics out there. We'll be talking about awareness and focus, PPE, ergonomics, and slips, trips, and falls. So let's start first with focus, right? One thing when we talk about focus is making sure you have your eye on the ball, your head's in the game. Don't let outside influences change the way or influence the way that you're doing the work. And that outside influence could also be time pressures, right? Time pressure doesn't mean we need to start taking shortcuts. Make sure you're being brilliant at the basics. PPE. Take a look at your hard hat. How old is that hard hat? They don't last forever. So if you're not wearing a nice brand new Par West hard hat, talk to your safety professional, get a brand new one. If you've had the same hard hat for well over a year, it's time to maybe put a new suspension system in it as well. So those don't last forever. And what happens to plastic when it gets old? It gets brittle. Ergonomics. That's something we generally don't think a whole lot about, and we should think more about that. I'm going to give you an example of a lineman that was in Nevada, actually was having a bit of problems, tendonitis, right? What is tendonitis? Tendonitis is often called tennis elbow. And you get that from swinging your arms from one direction to another. It's like you're hitting a tennis ball and then an abrupt tension or pressure that stops it. For example, this guy was doing jacking a hoist a lot. So he's moving that movement back and forth like he's swinging a tennis racket. Ergonomics means thinking about your positioning a little bit differently and maybe get in line with that hoist so you're pushing and pulling, right? Simple things like that. And being brilliant at the basics, let's talk about slips, trips, and falls. You should understand that according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, 37% of all fatalities are from slips, trips, and falls. So we're talking about building better habits. Let me ask you this question. What is your habit regarding slips, trips, and falls? Do you simply check the box off when you're doing the tailboard, or do you actively look for things that are slippery, things that will trip people, or places where someone can fall, and then actively doing something about that? So pay attention to that stuff. Also, how about housekeeping? Simple things like that. You have people getting up and down, walking in and out of the bucket trucks, the bellies of the line trucks. There's a bunch of garbage piled up there, and please make sure you don't have anything stacked up on the catwalk where people are walking. Simple things like that make a big difference. At the bottom here, you'll notice this is Par West chart for last year's incidents for slips, trips, and falls, and you can see it's the largest category there. If you guys can just focus on finding and fixing slips, trips, and falls, it'll make a big difference in our people. So let's talk about habits and decisions that we make, right? Let's say, for example, your habit is to say, I don't know, f*** the rules. I'm not going to snap the harness on my legs, the legs on my harness. I'm only going to be up there for a few minutes. It doesn't really matter. Well, here's the deal with that. You can choose to take a risk, but you don't get to choose the consequence, right? Maybe you've done that 100 times. You've done it 100 times before, and what might happen if you don't snap the legs in your harness? Well, maybe you'll come down at the end of the day and nothing else changes. Or this could happen. Remember, you can choose to take risks, but you do not get to choose the consequences. So please pay attention to the basics out there, pay attention to habits, and I will tell you this Building Better Habits campaign has made a difference to me in my life, and I hope it is yours as well. It made me sit back and think about my own habits, quite a few that needed to change, and I'm doing so. So please build better habits, be safe, and everyone goes home safe at the end of the day. Thank you. See you down the road. Here are the safety stats for week 4, 2023. We have 0 OSHA recordables. We have 0 first aid incidents. We have had 2 at-fault motor vehicle incidents. Earlier in the year, Division 15 in Reno, during a snowstorm and plowing snow, ran into a parked vehicle. And last week at Division 5 in San Diego, the Civil Department, a skid steer hit one of our own pickups. So far looking good. What we do need, everyone, is good catches. We've got to find and fix those good catches, report them so everybody can learn from them. A good catch is what's called an error precursor, something that if we didn't find it and fix it, a problem would have happened. So find things that could cause problems, fix them, share that information, and everyone goes home safe. Thank you.